Good afternoon. I'm Sergeant Tommy Thompson of the Phoenix Police Department. That's Tommy-Thompson. With me is Mr. Bryan Danielson and his wife, Brianna Danielson, and their dog, Josie. Today there was an incident in which we had a burglary transpire in the Arcadia area. And please forgive me for not giving you more detailed addresses or anything like that, but at the request of the Danielsons, we're holding it at that ambiguity so that they are protected, because Mr. Danielson and Mrs. Danielson are both members of the WWE wrestling community, and there's a concern that many times their fans try to locate them, and so for that reason we're holding off on that. But in the Arcadia area we had several burglaries, and we had reached out to the community to get tips or information, and primarily we had asked the neighbors of the people that reside in that community to contact us if they saw anything suspicious taking place. And that's one of the things as police officers we do, and if anyone sees suspicious activity, we ask them to please contact the police department. Well, yesterday at about 7 o'clock p.m. in the Arcadia area, there was a call that we received of two suspicious individuals, two suspicious men. As the officers were responding to that area, Mr. Danielson and Mrs. Danielson happened to be coming home. They pulled into their carport, and as they pulled into the carport, they saw the carport door open, and then it closed quickly. Mr. Danielson, concerned for his dog inside the house and what might be transpiring, actually ran inside the house only in time to see two men running out the back door. It was later learned that those individuals had broken the rear Arcadia door to gain entry into the house. They were committing a burglary. Mr. Danielson chased them for a distance and got into a confrontation with one of those individuals and was able to subdue him and basically detain him until the officers were able to arrive to take him into custody. That individual has been identified as Cesar Sosa, 22 years of age. He was booked into the Maricopa County Jail charged with burglary, and he also had a felony warrant charging him with burglary and kidnapping on those things. The other individual, described only as a Hispanic male, has not been located. But with me again today is Mr. Bryan Danielson and Miss Brianna, or Bree Danielson, and we'd like to give them an opportunity. I'm going to switch my mic for them so that they have the opportunity to explain, basically in their words, what happened yesterday.
Hi everybody. It's weird to be on camera fully clothed. Usually I'm in my little spandex and Speedos, so this is a little unusual. But yeah, Bree had picked me up from the airport. We came home, and like he said, the door opened, the door closed. Our main concern was for Josie. So we came in, Bree went looking for Josie. I saw the guys running out the back. I chased them. I caught one of them, and then I kept him until the police got there. I think the coolest thing to me about this whole thing is we had a neighbor who called in suspicious activity probably 10 minutes before we got home. While I was subduing the one guy, we had people calling 911. Our community and our street has been very vigilant as far as keeping in contact with each other, watching out for each other, and because this kind of, like, it can be anybody, you know what I mean, and we're just very thankful, and so that was really, really awesome.
I guess if you can tell us, what were you thinking? I mean, some of the advice police would give is don't chase after the bad guy. Just kind of that wrestler mentality mode come in a little bit, and what were you thinking? Can you just bring your mic down just a little bit? Just
Okay.
It's a little high up.
Okay, I don't know how to do that.
We wanted to see it.
Just want to switch to this
I
mic.
can just hold it. I'm used. This is actually how I'm used to doing it. It's just it's just like this.
What were you thinking? Was it just wrestler mode, or what happened?
Back right here. Okay, there we go. So really, our number one concern was for Josie. First off, I am very laid back. We actually did a personality test for WWE. It was weird, and I got the lowest ambition score they'd ever seen. It was in the bottom 1 percentile.
Shouldn't tell me.
But I got really angry at first, and because it feels like anybody who's been broken into, it's a real rather they steal your car than break into your home where it's an invasion. I was very angry. Bree was very angry. They're actually lucky that I got them instead of Bree, because she
Right.
probably would have been a little more violent.
Well, and we didn't know if they had Josie too.
Yeah.
Because Brian and I don't exactly have the most exciting house to break into. So my biggest concern was that they would break into the home, find nothing, but then see Josie and think, that would be something. So when we did pull in, I saw the door slam. My first thing is I looked at Brian, I was just like, oh my gosh, Josie. And he just instantly freaked out and went running. And then I went running to find Josie, and I found her in our bathroom just hiding, and she was shivering, and she actually peed herself too, which was so sad. Then I went running to the alley with her to just tell him, because I didn't want him to chase them, and they were way down the alley. So the first thing I did was get my car, and I couldn't find them for like 10 minutes.
So everybody wants to know what wrestling moves you use.
The fun answer would be that I put him in the yes lock and he was tapping on the ground, but that isn't actually what happened. So it's funny because there's a phrase in wrestling, in proper wrestling, that exhaustion makes cowards of us all, and unfortunately he wasn't in very good shape, so it didn't take much, and I took him down. I put him in a rear naked choke, but not want to hurt him. I just wanted to make sure that he was subdued until the police could come.
What were you saying to him, or did he say anything to you? I mean, when you were running, what did you say to him?
So it's interesting because I wasn't saying anything while I was running, and when I got there, I don't usually curse. Mild mannered. Yeah, I leave that to Bree. But I'm pretty sure I said I shouted some bad words at him. But I don't remember because I was so angry. But he was just like, I'm sorry. And then that's kind of.
But what if this guy had a gun?
So yeah, and that's one of the reasons people need to be very cautious. And that's, that's why I'm a little borderline ashamed of what I did. But it's probably not the best thing to do because you don't know what's going to happen. I just reacted, and that's what most people do, and you'll react how you've been programmed to react or how your individual personality is to react. My individual personality was to go after them, and we have both been very thankful about nobody getting hurt, and we consider ourselves, given the circumstances, very, very fortunate people.
How much of a struggle did he give you? I mean, the press release says that a struggle ensued. I would think you could take this guy down very easily and hold him down. How much of a hassle did he give you?
I would say next to zero. It was, like I said, exhaustion makes cowards of us all, and he was very, very tired, and it literally took zero effort to take him down, zero effort to put him in the rear naked choke, and yeah, like, I don't know. And it's interesting because you don't know how tough anybody, literally the toughest guy in the world. He could have had the boxing skills of Mike Tyson. Who knows? You know what I mean? But he was so tired it didn't matter. And that's one of the things that humbling about martial arts. If any of you have done martial arts, is that if you've done it, like I trained a legitimate guy named Neil Melanson, who used to be Randy Couture's head cornerman, and fatigue makes cowards of us all. And when you go in martial arts, anybody who's done martial arts, and you just know there's always somebody tougher than you, and that's but he put up very little resistance.
Are you worried that there's going to be some criticism that people are going to question your neck injury now that you've tackled the guy down the street?
I'm not, like, I think the doctors are pretty straightforward on, like, the legitimacy of my neck injury.
But I also think with anyone, when you're put in that situation, your adrenaline rush. I mean, people have, picked up cars to get someone underneath. I just think in that moment. And, you know, I think dog people will understand it, but we look at Josie as our child.
Look at her. Look
I
at how
know,
cute
right?
she is. She's incredible. So.
But that's what we were concerned about. And then Brian, too, when he was chasing him, had no idea if they had Josie actually in their arms. Because the time I found her, they were already way down the alley. So I just think it was his adrenaline. And I think he could have done anything in that moment.
Did he ever recognize you?
I don't think he did.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, like,
He's a wrestling fan?
I don't think he's a wrestling
No.
fan, no.
You didn't go old school cattle mutilation?
No, I didn't go old school cattle mutilation on him, although, you know, I was really worried about getting sued. Like, as soon as I actually got him down, one of my big concerns was like, okay, what do I have to do to keep him here, but not do anything to where I would get sued for any of this, you know, like the last thing you want to do is get burglarized and then get sued for taking down the guy that burglarized.
Maybe McMahon said something.
Well, you know, and it's funny, they might, you know, just to keep me from getting back to WWE, so so who knows, maybe Triple H is behind this whole thing.
Do you have any belongings missing right now?
No, so one of the things that we're very much minimalists, and one of the things actually that they grabbed, I guess one of their MOs was kind of smash and grab jewelry. Bree's sister for my birthday had actually got me a watch box, and it didn't contain anything valuable. It just had a couple of I like wooden watches, and I have 2 of them, but they're not worth very much money. But one of the things that was in there was my dad just recently passed away, and he had gotten me this bracelet that said, to the man that you've become and the son you'll always be. And that was in there, and I'm very thankful so they had it, but when we came in, they dropped it. So so I've got it still, and because that's the last memento of my dad.
Can you tell us about your dog, how old the dog is?
She's a French bulldog, and she's 2 years old. And she's like our child. So. And I rarely leave her home alone, and so I was literally going to the airport to pick him up, so I was home all day. So, and we were actually in the backyard a lot of the day playing because I wanted to make the stuff with wood. So I was actually by the alley a lot, over by our wall, just with her a lot of the day. So I figured, oh, go get him at the airport. It's not far, so.
So is that where you guys on your way back from the airport?
Yeah, I was picking
Yeah.
him up. So, we were
I had
headed
a
back.
very interesting day yesterday. So I started off the day in San Diego at Comic-Con doing a press conference with Hulk Hogan, Paul Heyman, and Sting. Like, it was crazy. And then, so I'm writing an autobiography, and they announced that yesterday for St. Martin's Press. And so we did that. So these are 2 big highs, right? And then they tell me, the WWE doctor called me and said, I think you actually need to get another surgery based on you not recovering very well. So then that's a huge low. And then I got on an earlier flight than suspected. So yay, I get to be home sooner. And then we get home and then boo, robbery. So it was a very, very wild day yesterday.
What's wrong with your neck?
Okay, so it's boring, really. But I had a compression of the ulnar nerve in 2 spots at C6, C7, and C7, T1. They went in and there were some bone spurs in the actual spinal cord, and they took that out. And then now what's kind of going on is the nerve, it's what's called a double crush. What they didn't realize is that the ulnar nerve, which runs from your neck down through here into your elbow and then into your hand and everything, is compressed at the elbow as well. So the surgery that they want to do now is taking the nerve from over here and putting it over there and then putting it under the muscle. I've essentially got probably half the strength in my right arm as I do in my left arm.
Did this aggravate anything yesterday?
No, I mean, it's it is what it is. If there's any sort of aggravation, I don't really notice it. So.
Well, I think you guys both okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, and that's we are very, very fortunate and also thankful for our community because we've only lived there for 10 days, literally 10
Yeah.
days. And last week our neighbors invited us to a community block party where it's not like a party where everybody's like, getting crazy, but it's everybody getting to know each other, communicating with each other. the kind of the leaders of our block have this email group, and everybody has each other's phone numbers to contact. If you're headed out of town, we'll watch your house. They told us yesterday, if you guys are ever gone out of town, we'll put our car in your driveway so that it looks like there's somebody home. And so one of the things that I think is the point of this, wrestler catches burglar, that's fun and entertaining for news. But the real cool thing about this is a community, as far as a street, really works together to keep crime out. And not only that, everybody was so great. There were 4 different calls, like I said earlier, of all these people who were caring about their neighbors. And to me, that's the awesome story of this. It's just people caring. And I think that should be an inspiration to a lot of communities, as far as hey, we need to start worrying about each other, and as opposed to other things. So,
Bree, I mean, you guys are tough, and your persona is you're tough and loud. But as a homeowner, I mean, do you just feel violated, or how are you?
Oh my gosh. Well, I did not sleep at all last night, because you feel completely violated, and it's a scary thing, because especially for myself, and seeing my husband go off, when I actually made the 911 call, I thought, they might have guns, and that was my first thing, is he went, but I couldn't catch up with them, so I had to go back to the car, and then just the whole time I, kept thinking, is he okay? Because you don't know what can happen within minutes. So it's just, you get really scared, but after everything happened, all our neighbors came out on the street. It had to be 10:30 p.m., and just talking with everyone and everyone coming up with a plan, it kind of made me feel better. But yeah, today's just been hard, because we put in our alarm system, everything, now cleaning up all the glass, doing everything.
One of the funny things about this whole thing is Wednesday we were actually supposed to put our alarm system in Wednesday morning, but because I had so many different physical therapy appointments and all that kind of stuff, and then had to fly to San Diego for Comic-Con Wednesday night, I'll push it back till next week, and then of course this happens. So.
Yeah.
You both are good characters in your professions. If you were on the bad guy side of the profession, would you have just let them go?
No, I think the bad guys actually, the bad guys in the profession would actually have done something worse than I did. Hit him with a ratchet or something like that. I have no idea. Done something devious to them, or
Yeah.
I don't know.
Did you actually put the suspect to sleep in the sleeper room?
I will not comment. Yeah, I won't comment.
Since you were able to catch him, and would you and he didn't get away with anything, I mean, would you call him kind of a B-plus kind of robber?
Call him worse than that.
Yeah, Bree would call him a lot worse than that. I don't know. I don't know anything about the guy, other than that I think he has a history with stuff. And my perspective on stuff is people's life experiences are, I don't know the situations he's been through and that sort of thing. And I'm mostly hoping, as opposed to criticizing him for being a bad robber, I hope that he gets help, and that I hope that he uses this as an opportunity to turn his life around.
Was there any indication why your house was targeted?
I think it's
People think-
random.
Yeah, and people were saying because we're new, so they probably saw people moving in and just thought it'd be easy.
And the idea that because when you see a car leave, if you see somebody leave, and then you suspect that nobody's home. So.
Did you get a good look at the other guy?
I did not get a good look at the other guy. One of our neighbors did get a very good look at him. So yeah.
How long was the chase? Like a block, 2 blocks until you caught the guy?
I'm not sure. It was. I mean, I would say it was a solid 400 meters maybe of the chase, and I suspect that's why he was so tired. Most people can't sprint for that long, so he was good for that first 50 meters. Then he got tired.
Any other questions? Appreciate you being here, and if there's no other questions, then thank you for coming.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Okay, Josie, you did a very good job.
Has the dog recovered? He's still freaking out?
She was like during the night, but today she's been doing better. But if she hears loud noises,
Yeah.
she'll kind of like get spooked. That's probably 'cause she heard the glass and it broke in.